Hey everyone, this is Vipul Singh, and today's topic is how to fetch API in react.js. Okay, so let's get started. So, what the most important thing what we are going to cover here, I'm gonna show you. So, the first important thing is here what this is kind of application we are going to create, right? And so in this application, I just want to fetch a Pixabay API. Okay, so the first thing first, you have to just visit a Pixabay website. So you can just go back here like pixabay.com and just scroll down and just scroll down, not here. So just keep this explore. Now in this explore you can just get an API. Okay, and this API section you get the documentation, which is like this one, and here we get you will see like a button, just get started with your API documentation. Click on this button, and here we just get all the information regarding how we can fetch the API and what is the requesting parameter, which is very important. The first required parameter is what it's login and sign up, because we need a key. So for this thing, if you want to fetch or fix up the API, so in such scenario you have to first log in or register first, and then you can just fetch this API in. Okay, so I already fetched this API. As you can see, this is what they're giving one example here. You can see this is a URL, and in this query parameter here we need a one API key. That's very important. And after that you can just search here just whatever the image which you want, like flowers, like vehicles, or whatever we just want to fetch here, and get this is like a JSON data we get as a response, like this total, then total hits, then this is what a array of list data you can just get here. Okay, so this API which is we are going to fetch in this scenario, and now let's see how we can just do. So what we have to do, guys, so first thing first, I'll just open up my Visual Studio Code. I already have set up this all the things what actually we have to build here. So this is what my project. Okay, this is one main component. As you can see here in the left hand side, you can see this is what my all the repository, all the files, all the folders you can see here. So first thing first, what I can do here, I just remove all the code here which is already which is we are getting as a by default. So the first thing, I just remove all this file. Okay, there you go. So and you app.css also remove this. Perfect. So next thing what I can do here, I'll just create a one file that's called index.js. Okay, and this file, the first important thing, you have to import a react from what react. That should be capital. Okay, so it's small. And after that we have to import react DOM from, what that's called react DOM. That should be react hyphen DOM. Now next thing what we have to do, so react DOM dot render, right? So this is a render method which is we have to use. So this render method, they need two specific parameter, the element which is you want to render and your main root reference. Okay, as you can see, these are elements, and the second parameter which is need, it's like a container, a document fragment, which is we can say it's callback kind of here. So first thing first, I will just import my by default component. So my by default component this scenario which is have app. Right now I didn't create, so I just importing this thing here. So import dot / app here. All right, next thing what we have to do is use this app as a selector here, that's component name. Then also I just want to make a streak mode also. So in this scenario what we have to do is called react dot streak mode, is like another class component, and in this react streak mode I will just pass this app, my main component here. Okay, and the second parameter of this react render DOM, they need a main root, so that's called document.get element by id, and then just call to root. Okay, like so. So next thing, and also I just want to add here what my CSS, we already had just installed this packages with bootstrap CSS, not only CSS. So dot / node modules / just use a bootstrap and / dist forward slash css forward slash bootstrap dot main dot css. Okay, so this is what setup for index.js. The next thing, let's create our main component. That is what a app component. So I just use app.jsx. So keep in mind I'm just using app.jsx because we are gonna create a component. So import react from react. Okay, and here I'm just creating a stateful component rather than stateless component. It's up to you, you can just create a stateful component or stateless component. So I personally prefer here a stateful component. So I just use the component. Okay, then what I will do, I just use a class app extend, use this component class here. Perfect. Next thing, and below this I just use export default app here, right? Here just use a render method for your JSX. So rendering, then I use this return. So this method is gonna return what. So simply just using one h1 tag, then I say app page kind of. Now if you save this file, guys, now I just want to move back to browser. Let's see how it looks like. So I just move back to browser. I want to show you. So right now we are getting a one error here. The error say the passing error unexpected token expected comma rather than semicolon. So that's very important because you cannot use a word a semicolon, right? So I just move back to what index.js and I just remove this semicolon. Okay, so after what we have to do, guys, I just move back to again browser. Now as you can see, we're getting your by default component info here. That's called app page. Okay, that's awesome. Okay, so next thing what we have to do, guys, so this is what page you can see on browser. Now next thing we have to create a new component since it's scenario. So first thing first, I just move back to Visual Studio Code, and now I'm just going to create a new component. That is what, so basically I'm going to create three specific component. The first component which is I'm going to create for search images. You can kind of search images.jsx, and the next component which is I'm going to create here a product list.jsx, and the next one is I'm going to create like product.js. Okay, so the search images, product list, and the products, these are my three components which I created. Now here I just want to create import then react from react, right? And I call to const search image like here, which is what we just going to create images. So here just use simply return, then just use called search page, for example. Then I just use export default search image. So this is what stateful component I'm just creating here. And also just move back to so product list. So here I just create import again, then import react from react. Okay, that should be import. Then here just call to const product list, then just goes to just use return, then use h1, let's go to product list. Okay, so now export default product list. Okay, similarly let's move back to products, then here is called to import react from react, and const it is called products. Let's move back to that goes back, then return, it's called h1, then it's called products. Okay, so simply just creating three specific components right now. So that's export default, then sort products. Okay, so next thing what we have to do here. Okay, so right now I just want to first fetch the API. So let's imagine how we can fetch the API in React. That's very important. So before that, whatever the API I will fetch, so since now we have to consume a response data also. So what we can do here, I just create a state here. So just use call constructor, passing props here, again just calling that super to that props. So here what I will do, I just get this dot state, and inside this state object I will create a two specific component, property, that's called products node. So that's like a word empty array, and below this I'll just call to a search field. Okay, let's call the search field for the search and making port empty here. I'm just passing empty string here. So next thing what we have to do, we have to consume the API, just like I told you which API we are going to fetch here. So I just move back to again browser, and I'm going to show you the Pixabay API we are going to fetch here. Okay, so what I can do here, I just move back to again Visual Studio Code, then here just create a component did mode lifecycle hook. Okay, and in this component did mode lifecycle hook, I want to fetch that API. So first thing first, we have to use the Axios. I'm using Axios, even you can use a fetch also. So right now I'm using import Axios from Excel. So now we have to consume the data, right? So we have to that means what, we're gonna use a get method. And important thing is here, what Axios is like a promise. You can see here, let's imagine if I just call let response is equal to Axios dot get, right? So as you can see, this get method is basically like a promise. So what I can do here, I just make it's like I just using async and await. Even you can just use what then and catch also. So I'm just using async and await here. Okay, now what we have to do, now we have to fetch this API URL endpoint. So I already have just copy and paste to my this file, as you can see here. So what I can do here, I just copy this link here, and now I just fetch to this using template string, paste to here. Okay, like so. So next thing what we have to do, so whatever response will come to here, I just want to store. So first thing I just want to show you as a console. So let's see how it looks like. So I just want to do console dot log, and I just pass this property that's or that response. And now if I save this file, guys, let's move back to a browser, and now let's see what we are getting. So right click, inspect, and just move back to console. Now as you can see, we have this object, we're getting this object here. Now in this object, as you can see, we can see here we have a property, that object property. Inside this object but we have another property, and you can see here data head. So these are the list of data which is comes from a Pixabay server API. Okay, so that hits data which is we have to consume, right? So what we can do, again I just move back to Visual Studio Code, guys, and here next thing what we have to do, so first thing first, I'll just call to this dot set state. Okay, now this is the set state, I just pass to products, and this product is simply call response dot data dot heads. Okay, like this. Okay, so this is done. Now next thing what we have to do here, so here just move back to return here, then in this return right now I'm just using a bootstrap CSS. So here just wrap with parentheses, then use div class name, then container. Now in this container what we have to do, so we're gonna call our component that's called product first, that should be products, and also you have to import these products to above. Okay, like this. So here what I can do, I just call items, right? And these items I just pass to this products here. So that's called to this dot state dot products here. Okay, perfect. So next thing what we have to do, so we have to move back to our products.jsx component. So right now I just use this props, okay, and I just want to console here. So let's see what we are getting here. So I'll just do the console.log props here, and first thing first, I just want to comment out this line here. Okay, now it's done. So let's go back to a browser. Now let's see what we are getting here. So as you can see in products.jsx line number 4, you can see we are getting inside these items we have this list of data, as you can see here. Okay, so now if we have a list of data, so what we can do, so we have to use our map method here, so that this all the data I can just pass to my another component that's called product list. Okay, so what we have to do here, guys, so I just move back to our products.jsx, and here I just call to my product list component first. Okay, so first thing first, just import product list. Okay, I hope I'm just writing right there. This should be one product list. Perfect. And from dot forward slash, that should be product list. Perfect. Now here what we have to do, so I just use a one parent wrapper, so I'm just using what a react dot fragment. Okay, just using what react dot fragment. And inside this react dot fragment, what I can do here, I simply just use div class name, that's row. So I'm simply just using a bootstrap row class name, and inside this row what I will do is using interpolation, and this interpolation I simply just pass this props dot items and use a map. So because we want to iterate all the list of data, so in this map now we have to do a one callback function. So in this callback function I just call this item, and again goes to, okay, and here I just use what my product list of component. So what I can do, all whatever data which is I'm iterating in this map method, so all this data I will pass as a props to a product list component. So here again I just use a product props property and this pass this item. So right now we're using a map. So as per the react.js rule, if you iterating any data, so such scenario you have to use a key, a unique key props property also though. So we can just use this key right here, and I just use this atom dot id, which is whatever the data which is comes from item. So what is my items is nothing like what, it's like my props which is comes from my app.jsx. Okay, that's perfect. So next thing what we have to do, so next thing, whatever the props data which is we are getting in products.js, so this props data we have to call inside a product list using props. Okay, so like here I simply call this props here. Now next thing what we have to do, we have to bind whatever data which is we are getting inside this props property inside a JSX. So I can just use this this parenthesis, then use react.framework, and in the inside this react.framework I'm gonna create a card. So div class name, just use call md -4 and use style. So I'm using style for better alignment. So interpolation, then margin bottom, that's just called to 20 pixel. Okay, like this. So here what next here, so right now we use div class name, so the card, okay, and open and close this card here. Then here just use first thing I just say img is the image class name, and call to card hyphen img hyphen top. Okay, then just use src, right? So right now we have to bind word props dot product dot large image url, remember, and also just put use alt also, and also just call to props dot product dot tags and close this tag, remember. Okay, now below this the card, and inside this card what we can do here, we just use div class name and just call to card hyphen body, right? And inside just use a hy tag for title, I just put this class name also. So here this called class name, then I just go to card, then just go to hyphen, go to title here. And inside of this, I just use what props dot product dot tags. It should be tags. Okay, and below this div, whatever div which is we are calling, you can see in the h5 tag. So below this h5 tag, you can use a paragraph also. So I can just use a class name, then I go to card hyphen text. Okay, and here just go to props dot actual props dot product dot user. Okay, so that's the thing which is we have to bind there. So now if I just save all this file, now let's see what we are getting here. So what I can do, just move back to browser, and now you can see guys, here we are getting all the data, all the by default data which is coming from a Pixabay API. So right now we are getting up flowers. Why we are getting a flower? Because you can see here, if you just move back to the API, the app.js, here we are using by default data flowers. And here if I say, if I just call to car, right, now let's save this file, let's see what actually we are getting here. And as you can see, you can get all the card data here. Okay, so this this attribute, this property, we have to make it dynamic, right? So how we can do? So I'll just move back to Visual Studio Code again, and the first thing first, what we have to do, just move back to search images.jsx. So in the search images.jsx, what I will do here, I just create about one input tag here. Okay, so again just use input, then I just use type, and just use type should be search, then I just use a placeholder. So right now I'm just making this placeholder using this prop, so I just call props dot placeholder, and also just use a class name, a bootstrap class name, that's called form underscore control. Okay, use the name keyword for search, right? And then I just use an on changeable for changing, updating the data of state property. So here just use call props dot change input data, like so. Okay, and close this tag. So now I just move back to browser again, and let's see what we are getting actually. So there you go. So right now this is the image. So again I'm not getting that search here, so it's not coming. So let's move back to Visual Studio Code again. Let's move back to app.js. Okay, so as you can see, I'm not using that search image component right now here. So what we can do here, it is simply just put what a search image, that component which is already created. So again let's move back to a browser, let's see what we are getting. All right, so as you can see here, we are getting a word props, it's not defined. The reason is because already we are not defining any props data yet. Okay, so what I can do, I just move back to again here. Now in this search, now whatever the search property, because already just told you we are passing a props value to what inside of what search image.jsx. Okay, so what we have to do here, now in this search image, we just pass some specific props property. For example, like a placeholder, like, okay, that's called placeholder, right, like so, and then it's called to search image. Okay, and also I just pass a change input data. Okay, and here what I can do, I just use one callback function, that passing parameter is nothing like event, and now I just call to this search field state property to update here. So this dot set state, and inside of this set state we just use the property search field and give that value e dot target dot value. Okay, awesome. So now let's move ahead, let's move back to browser, and again still we are getting a props is not defined. So why is that? So let me just check here. So as you can see, we are not using any props here, so you have to pass the props parameter like here. Okay, so now I can just go back here. As you can see here, we're just passing a props here. So if you move back to browser again, I can see we are getting that updated value here, and above this we can see we have this search box here, right? Awesome. So next job is here, whatever the data, whatever the input value, whenever if I search, okay, so I just want to filter the data. Okay, just like free photo, I want to grab a free photo. So what I can do, whenever I just search a free photo here, so this only the free photo data it's gonna come through here. Okay, that's the idea. So we have to do filtration, so search filtration logic we have to build here. All right, so let's go back to a Visual Studio Code again, and now how we can build this filtration logic here. Okay, so I just move back to app.jsx component. Okay, and here what I can do here, I just use inside this render, just create a search a filter, right? And it's called to this dot state dot products, just this products, it's like array, and here I just use what filter method here. And this inside this filter, but I can just pass a one callback here, and it's called to data dot user to what user to what lowercase. Okay, that should be our lowercase and C capital, and this called dot includes. Okay, so I'm using includes method or JavaScript includes method. So I just call to this dot state dot search field dot to what a lowercase, like this. Okay, so this logic we have to build here, and after that what we have to do, so rather than passing this dot state dot products, here we just simply pass a word or this search filter, which is this return value which is comes from the filter, right? So now if I again save this file, guys, and again just move back to browser. Okay, so here what we have to do, just search the name of this free photo or whatever, like you can just search Rihanna or whatever you can just call. Let's call this free. Okay, and this photos, but still we are not getting any data yet here. So let me just console and inspect the things. Let's see what we are getting. Okay, so we are getting a error here, and they say on change it will be ignored, right, in a search image JSX line number 5. Okay, so we are getting some error here. Now let's see what kind of error it's like. So again let's move back to Visual Studio Code. Okay, and let's move back to product list here. So in this product list, or what actually we are just doing, not product list, sorry, a search image.js. Okay, so here we are just passing a props dot change input data as a props property. So let me check my what change input. So as you can see right now here is passing a D small, so I just make a capital D. Okay, now again let's move back to what Chrome again, and now let's search again the data. It's called free photos. Okay, still we are not getting any data here. Let me inspect again. Let's see what we are getting. So again same error we are getting, on change it will be ignored. All right, so let's check out the search field search image.jsx component again. So first thing first, what I want to do is here I writing giving a mistake here, because spelling mistake I can see here. I'm just using on change. Okay, that should be on change, right? Okay, that should be on change. So now let's go back to again browser, and now let's search here. So that's called free. So as you can see we are getting all the free photos data here. We're not gonna get any another images here. If we just remove, we get a by default all the images. So basically includes, what does do? So includes method, it's nothing like, it's match the data. So once it's match the data, it's gonna return back to you. If it is not, so it's gonna give me the by default data. So I just comparing here, I just using this filtration. So if include gets match with my data user, it's gonna call only about a specific match data, right? It's gonna return me a match data once if I searching. And once if during the search, if any data it's not gonna match to a user for that includes, so it's gonna return a by default data which just comes from that API. And that's the reason I'm just using one includes method here. Okay guys, and also I just want to destructure so many things because I'm just repeating again and again. As you can see here, just like when you can just item search filters, everything's fine here. And let's move back to product. Right, I'm just using a props dot item. So here you can just destructure also, just simply you can just pass items, so no need to call a props again here, right? And similarly, if you just move back to here guys, so here we just need or that specific property. Okay, so what we can do, just simply call product. That should be what? Product. Okay, product, that's it. So rather than using this props again and again, now simply I just remove this props to here, to here, and to here. Okay, like so. Okay guys, so this is for all the board guys. So I hope you get a better idea how to fetch API in React.js. So kind of so just try out with yourselves. That's like, and again just give the one output here. That's beautiful, like so. Okay guys, so I hope you get a better ideas of how we can consume an API. Okay, here I'm just fetching a third-party API. As similarly, you can just fetch so many API which you want. Okay, so that's it for today, guys, and thanks for watching. Bye and take care.